Yeah, and honestly, I think that Overlord is just kind of mid.
TNMP, the Nerdy Misfit Podcast, with your hosts, Connor O'Neill and Matthew Hughes.
So Overlord, Matt,
Yep. That was an anime that we watched.
what would you rate it out of
Out of
10?
10?
Yeah.
6.5.
Yeah, I'm sitting about a 6. I think it was generally pretty mid and generic.
Yeah, I mean, during the time, I think it wasn't as generic, but I think now
I looked back and no, I think it was
it
still
was still pretty generic
yeah, I
back
think it
in
was still
2015.
Yeah, like the Sword Art Online boom had already happened. So
Okay.
many anime of MMORPG, isekai kind of type stories, and maybe it's even worse now. Coming from obviously how many isekai there are to enjoy.
Yeah.
Because I'm not, every genre feels a little bit oversaturated in some way. Maybe there's a couple that are underappreciated, but for the most part, you could say shonen is also oversaturated, but there's a ton of options.
Exactly.
And just like isekai, there's probably something for you. And I think that
Was Overlord for you?
well, it came out in 2015. It's 2026.
Yup.
It definitely has shown its age, but it did have some pros.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to get into today as we jump into our anime of the month. So if you're new here, we do an
Anime of the month.
Basically, we review an anime every single month. It's the last episode of the month. I've said a month a lot there.
This is the first episode of 2026 for Anime of the Month, though.
It's true.
So 1 down, 11 to go after
This
this.
is our third year now.
Third year of doing it.
Anime of the month. And basically, we just pick a series, go through it, watch it. I'm really proud of us. We're actually recording this quite ahead of schedule.
Yep.
Which is very good for us. And we just kind of go through the elements we like, dislike, and we ask you guys what you thought of it if you've seen the series. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of spoilers ahead. Maybe not so much for this because I don't think there's
not really much to spoil.
Yeah, not much to spoil.
Really. Anyways, give you some stats quick.
Yeah, sure. Hit us
But
with the
yeah,
stats.
obviously we're talking about Overlord, aired back in summer of 2015. Episode count just 13 seasons.
13 episodes.
13 episodes.
It's 4 seasons.
4 seasons, 13 episodes. We only watched the first season.
Yes.
For the purpose of this recording.
We only watched the first season.
We only watched the first season. Obviously it's action, it's adventure, it's fantasy, it's technically
It's an
isekai.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward. My anime list score sitting at a 7.9.
Yeah.
Based on 1.7 million.
Well, 1.3 million completed, yeah.
Completed, yeah. But I feel like people who drop it, you can still, like...
I just
put a
don't know how
rating
the
on it.
algorithm works for the score rating. I think the
Fair.
score rating, a lot of it's based off of the completed and maybe dropped holds a certain
Gotcha.
percentage. But
That makes sense. Anyways, Overlord based on a light novel. I think the light novel's still being written.
no idea.
Not too sure about that. But anyways, obviously, if you don't know what Overlord is, here's a little fun synopsis from my anime list as I butcher things. The final hour of the popular virtual reality game Idricel has come. However, Momonga, a powerful wizard and master of the Dark Guild Ains Olgaun, decides to spend his last few moments in the game as the servers begin to shut down. And to his surprise, despite the clock having struck midnight, Momonga is still fully conscious as his character, and moreover, the non-player characters appear to have developed personalities of their own. Confronted with this abnormal situation, Momonga commands his loyal servants to help him investigate and take control of this new world, with the hopes of figuring out what has caused this development and if there may be others in the same predicament.
Yeah, so basically it's an isekai
That's
set in an MMORPG. And yeah. I think let's start with the plot and characters. Plot, there is much, to be honest. And I'm trying my best not to go too far because I've actually watched all 4 seasons.
You've watched all
this
4
month.
seasons, yep.
So there is maybe perhaps some more heading, like a line we're finally following. There is a light at the end of the tunnel that we can now see, that I can be like, okay, there is a story developing.
Yeah. Are they planning to do a season 5?
I would assume probably. But it's from the first season. I want to say like the big overarching thing is the main character is looking to see if there's other real players that are also in the world.
Yeah.
Whether it's his friends, which is why he ends up changing his name,
To Einzelgauen.
Yeah, to Eins Algon instead of Momonga, to try and, if his friends are out there in the world, that he's using their clan name, or
Yeah.
to basically try and be like, hey, you're not alone.
Yeah, we're here too.
But other than that, there isn't much plot.
Yeah, the plot is very much mini arcs. Characters are pretty face value overall for season 1.
For season 1, but I still think that the characters are the bright spot of the series.
Yes, I would say that. Like his group that he kind of forms.
All
in the
the
first
floor
couple
guardians and
episodes.
stuff are interesting.
Yeah.
It's cool that they all have. They're all, even just from the first season, they all have different personalities.
Yeah,
They
they just don't get a lot of like in-depth character. Like they have their own like little moment to
Yeah,
shine
they're
here
not
and there.
super developed, but what I mean is some of them, they all obviously love Momonga, where they're like,
serve
they basically
you.
treat him like a god because
Yeah.
they're one of the creators to them.
Exactly.
But they all kind of have unique ways of showing it. They're all like, some of them you can tell are more mischievous, some of them are a little more docile, like some of
Yeah.
them are
In
just
love.
happy to be there. Some of them are deep in love, which was all but referenced right at the start
Yeah.
with the change to the NPC. And I think that that's probably one of the bright spots of the series, is that all of their personalities are referenced to the real world, which I think in a lot of isekais, what makes them enjoyable for me, now it's obviously personal take, is that there's still elements of the real world that affect decisions either made by the main character or that affect this world in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And in this one, that's still the case, where our main character is just honestly trying to figure things out because he's confused. He doesn't know what's exactly going on. And he's basically now this awkward salaryman who probably didn't even have real friends,
Yeah.
just the friends in the MMORPG that he clearly was no-lifing all the time. And now he just has those NPCs that were his friends, or
Yeah.
like where he can at least see elements of his friends in them. So I do like that overall aspect of them. Now, them all being insanely overpowered, not a new trope in the
No.
fantasy isekai genre, but I did find
It
to
lowers
be-
the stakes
it lowers the
in the
stakes
story.
immensely.
So
Yeah, it lowers the stakes immensely. But once you kind of are just like, okay, they're never going to lose, you're kind of just there for the ride.
yeah.
All the designs were interesting.
Yeah, I do have that in one of my positives. I think the character designs were solid. Like the floor guardian specifically, all drastically different.
Yes, I
And
think
for
that's
me, I was
perfect.
like, "Oh, this is great. This kind of shows their own uniqueness."
The only ones that are the same are the dark elves,
Yeah, which
and
is
which
fine.
are, but they're also
They're
the female
together.
is the cross is the one dressed like a dude, and the dude is the one dressed like the girl.
I think so. Kind of confusing,
Yeah,
but
well,
that's okay. But like, I can't remember the name, but like the weird like bug
Yeah.
armor dude. Like as soon as I saw him, I was like, "Oh, this character design's sick." Like I'd love to know more about him.
I saw someone reference the floor guardians as, it's almost like there's a bunch of Power Ranger villains that are like, that's who you're
It's
following.
so true.
That's who you're following as like the cast. You're like, it's a bunch of Power Ranger villains taking over this new world.
That's totally fair. I can see that. Simple as yeah. But I think for that aspect, though the characters look unique, I think within the first season, you only really get character development for 2 of the floor guardians
Yep.
overly, and which is the 2 girls that are mostly focused towards Momonga. And then the other ones are kind of just like, they have their moment. They're like, "Oh, I'm connected to this," or like that.
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
mostly have like
okay.
Albedo and the Shaltir, I think, the vampire girl,
Yeah.
right?
I'm like, "Oh, those characters are cool," but I was like, you introduce like these so many other characters where I'm like, why
You
is
kind of
this?
get an idea of like what because
Their
some of their
purpose
roles
is-
some of their roles are kind of introduced. right?
Yeah.
Like, Albedo's in charge of all the floor guardians. You know that Demiurge is kind of like the next in charge, if you will.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know what he's supposed to be, a demon thing with a robot tail. I don't know.
Yeah, it didn't really make sense, but
But I thought all their designs were good, different,
Yeah.
unique, and I think what also makes that cool is it's believable that this was made by other people, right? It wasn't just our main character that
Yeah.
made one specific character. You can tell that this was their group that all made different elements of this entire guild,
yes.
if you will, right? Like It's a little bit of something in everything, which I liked. Animation was for Madhouse. I feel like expectations are always a little higher,
Okay.
but I felt like it was okay.
Yeah, I thought the animation was fine. In my opinion, because obviously I have not watched as much anime as you, the CGI was better than I expected for a 2015 anime. And
I
I
have
don't know
that
if
down.
that's a high bar, but
Animation is okay. It wasn't like stellar, but it wasn't
Yeah.
bad. Lots of CGI.
yeah, well,
A good-
as expected.
Good chunk. Well, I mean, maybe not. Sometimes you
Fair.
expect maybe none. But there was a pretty hefty amount. And I did say it was blended very well. The color
Yes.
palettes matched pretty well to the anime, so it wasn't as jarring to just see.
Definitely not.
So yeah, I agree with you there. Where it wasn't burn your eyes bad CGI. There just was a lot of it, but it didn't really take away for me.
No, I don't think so
from the series.
either.
It does get maybe a tad bit worse later.
Mm.
I will say the color palette, although still kind of fits a bit, but the later I think each season the CGI progressively gets worse,
Ah,
in my opinion.
okay.
And that's mostly to do with maybe like more armies, more people,
Yeah,
more monster characters they're showing, which need to be. It's just easier to show that army
Okay.
as one. I'm
Yeah.
sure that's easier to draw or create in CGI than it is to physically draw them. But other than that, I thought it was okay. It was passable. It wasn't bad per se,
Yeah.
but it was not good. As we mentioned, character designs were definitely one of the highlights, including even like some of when we start getting introduced to townspeople as well.
yeah,
Anyone that was important really did stand out and had their own personalities. You could really believe that they weren't just like NPC townsfolk one.
yeah.
They all felt like they all had actual personalities.
Pieces,
The
and
people
even
that,
like when you meet like the group he goes with,
yep.
like they each had their own character design. They had their own personality. Like
Yep.
I will say, like for this show, the supporting characters I liked more than the main character per se.
I think I definitely
Like-
agree with that. Watching all the seasons, I do think that there are some charming elements of the main character
Yeah.
that make him interesting. But overall, I think the side characters, and not just the floor guardians, but even like the townsfolk in the kingdoms and stuff that you end up getting introduced, are very well done.
Yeah,
Even to the state where they're the leading reason to watch the show. But other than that, music.
music. We got the opening, which
Iconic
was
opening. I've heard that opening many times, and I've never watched the show until this month. But I've heard that opening.
I literally
ton.
have it in my notes. The opening was iconic. I recognized it right away from doing the anime opening quizzes.
Yeah, it's always on those anime opening
Yeah.
quizzes for sure. It's definitely in a lot of people's like anime
yeah.
playlists that they have.
Opening's a banger. It's a Clatonia by OXT was the opening. The visuals were good. Really set the tone.
Gave very like
Kind of mini
MMORPG video
yeah.
game vibe where you're just like, yeah, okay, this is intense.
I know what I'm getting into.
Yeah,
You know, and then the ending was LLL by Myth and Royd. The visuals
Myth and
were
Roy do a lot of the ReZero stuff as well.
Oh, okay. So they found their niche of isekai opening and closings. You mean?
It seems that way.
Ending was fine too. Like it wasn't anything like overly special, but the visuals were good.
Yep.
I think for me, when you're watching an anime, this kind of goes for any shows, but usually when it comes to anime, the opening, like the outros and the intros, the visuals will be a takeaway for me because if the music is like hype, then I'm like perfect, like I'm sold.
It's totally dependent on show.
Yeah.
Right? I think if you have an action fantasy, you better have some sort of pretty intense song to really get me hyped for the show.
exactly.
If I'm watching a romance, I don't mind a
Soft,
slower or
slow burn intro,
maybe some
you know?
piano. Like, I agree with you. And what is your feeling on openings that show plot and openings that are just more maybe secret plot, if you will? Like, if you pay really close attention, there's elements that are maybe foreshadowed, or once you've watched the entire series and look back at the opening, you're like, oh,
Yeah, I'm okay with that aspect. I think like if it's blatantly obvious, like this is slightly off topic, but like some Power Ranger seasons, for example, when you're like getting to know the characters and you're like, oh, this new character that shows up, he's probably going to be important. It's like the next episode, it's like that character as the Orange Ranger or whatever, but
Yeah.
then he doesn't get the power for another 2 episodes. You're like, that's a blatant, terrible.
yeah, where they're just
spoiler.
telling you what's happening in openings of stuff.
But when the openings are like visuals, like foreshadowing, like take Overlord for example, with the vampire character, can't remember her name. In the intro, you see her like go more ferocious.
Yep.
And
You know, in
obviously,
her other form, yeah.
yeah, and you don't see that right away.
Yeah.
You don't see
Shaltir.
that till like episode later in the
Yeah,
season.
yeah. It's like the conclusion of that
Yeah,
season is her.
around like episode 8 or 9
Yeah.
kind of thing. But like that, for example, is fine because you're like, oh, that's something we're probably going to see. We don't know how that partakes to the story though.
Yeah.
So like that subtle foreshadowing is fine, but when you're giving away like plot in the opening, like if someone's going to die and you show them like on their deathbed,
Yeah, or you like totally reference that they're not going to make it.
yeah, and you're like that's
Takes a
just-
lot out.
Exactly. And you're like, okay, cool. I just got spoiled. For
Yep.
what reason?
Yeah,
You
I'm
know?
usually a bigger fan of like just clips or having like if animators are just having fun with
Yeah.
the characters and known powers that they have and just being like, yeah, I'm just going crazy to make it look as intense as possible.
Exactly. Like you look at a lot of the Naruto openings. Like a lot of
Yeah.
them are just like action-packed adventure
Yeah.
for like
Absolutely.
a minute and a half, and then you go into the show and you're like, hey, I am ready for this. But then I also don't mind the opposite for the ending of an action-packed show. I can't.
Should be a cooldown.
Yeah, there was one of the
I think
anime of the
I think
months.
Full Metal Alchemist does a really great job
They do a really good job with
of,
that.
like,
yeah.
hype opening
And then just
and then
smooth-
a lot like really like chill. You're like, okay, except for I think it's the fourth closing is very intense, but that's
Which,
also you could argue like,
story-wise,
yeah,
that's
you're,
important.
You're approaching the conclusion. You know, you're
Yeah.
at the peak of the show. But for the most part, like yeah, they have like a very like I think like one of the tunes is like dun, 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 and you're just like, oh okay,
Yeah, you're like, okay,
breathe.
it's okay.
It's over. The episode's over.
And then next episode,
Yeah, and then like the intense opening, you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm ready. I'm hyped
yeah.
up.
There was one of the anime of the months. I want to say Banana Fish, but I'm not sure. But like the outro was very like smooth, relaxing, and then the intro was like
Yeah, Banana
insane.
Fish had a pretty good opening.
Yeah.
I can't remember the closing though.
I think it was a soft, like just mellow out one.
Okay.
But anyways, the score itself for the show was very fantasy fitting.
Yeah.
Which is
It
whatever.
wasn't anything impressive, but it was very
It fit the bill.
absolutely. Overall positives, I think comedy was pretty solid.
Yep.
Not I think some of the main characters' comedy was good, where he's just kind of honestly going with the flow. Like he's trying to figure it out, but all of the NPCs basically have acted like they've almost been living in this world this whole time, even though they also don't know the new world they've been transported to.
Yeah.
But they're like, oh yes, like let's go do. And he's like, oh yeah,
Yeah. Sounds great.
absolutely.
I'll
Totally.
be there.
So I really enjoyed that element and the humor with that, where his NPCs that he's getting to now know because they actually have the personalities that were written for them.
Yep.
I find that to be funny, even though some of the Albedo ones are a bit degenerate. Maybe I do find them to be.
Yeah.
It's funny because he wrote it for Albedo as one of her like personality traits, right? Is that she's in love with him.
Yep.
And then when it actually happens in this new world, he is so awkward about it. You know, like I'm not saying like you can go full degen with it, but it shows who he is as a person,
Yeah. Definitely.
which is it's cool to see that and it's funny. Like I mentioned, characters, the designs, their personalities from what we see in the first season are at least
Interesting.
for a decent sized cast right off the rip. Did a pretty good job of at least differentiating them. So I
Yeah.
think that was a positive. And my last positive is I liked a lot of the elements where spells were actually D&D spells. I don't know if you caught that, but there were a lot of just straight up Dungeons and Dragons spells that were said. Obviously mixed with a lot of MMORPG elements that you would
Yeah.
expect in a lot of those style video games. But it was cool to see like a mix of the tabletop D&D mixed with regular video game kind of
Yeah.
spells. I don't know. I just kind of like that as like a
There's
a
a little
fan
cherry
of,
on top.
well, as a fan
Yeah.
of D&D being like, oh, that's just a D&D spell.
Yeah.
That people are using. Like, what a good mix of ridiculously overpowered spells that don't even make sense to just simple D&D spells
Exactly.
that you maybe have used in your own sessions. So I kind of like that. Were there anything that stood out for you? For positives?
Mostly the same stuff, character designs, the spells stuff. I will say, like, I watched it. I'm assuming you probably watched it dubbed as well. The dub was chill.
Dub was
Like
solid,
it was,
yeah.
it was solid. I feel like there is some.
Had a lot of very familiar.
Yep. Which I
very
think it was kind of
familiar
like the
faces.
starting point for some of these voice actors, because
Could be.
Overlord was during like when I first got into anime. That was like, oh, like the first season of Overlord, you got to check it out. Like, you know,
Yeah.
Madhouse, it's an isekai. Like that's one you should have to check off your list.
Yeah, that is
kinda
true
thing.
though. And I was looking back at some of some big creators that have maybe looked at Overlord as well. And turns out a lot of people did not watch this show when it came out. Even though it was popular when it did,
Yeah, it just wasn't.
so many people were just like, I've had my fill of video game isekai.
Yeah.
And they like pushed it back, and then they watched it 2, 3, 4 years later. I mean, for us, we're watching it like
Literally 11 years later.
11 years later. And I will say, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I can see why people enjoy it.
Yeah, I can see why people enjoy it for what it is.
This might be an interesting
But-
take. Tell me what you think of this. It's kind of like solo leveling.
Yeah.
Where you're not ultra invested in the story
No.
or necessarily the main character's personality or what he's doing. You like kind of what's going on around it, the world, and you're just there to have a good time. Like, I'm not saying it's as good as solo leveling, and I'm not saying the MCs are the same. I'm saying from a pure, I'm watching this just to enjoy it, just to have a good time, brain off good time. I think that they share that kind of trait.
Yeah, I can see that.
Where I'm not overly like, I need to figure out everything and dissect everything and what's that character referencing and foreshadow. Like, you're not breaking down all these insane story elements.
It's not a deep show.
Yeah. You're just kind of like, I'm here to laugh and watch some action.
Exactly.
And from that standpoint, that's kind of what I enjoy about solo leveling. I'm not here to be like, oh, these characters are so deep. The main character has such a great personality. No, you're like, I'm here to watch the main character pop off.
You call it a day.
Like, brain off. I want to watch you do cool stuff.
Done deal.
And that's Overlord.
Yeah.
I want to watch you and your gang do a bunch of OP crap and maybe have a couple laughs.
Easy peasy.
So that's kind of like my last pod where I'm just like, it may be generic. It may be not the deepest for like the characters. It may not have this huge, cool, overarching plot that you're really invested in, but it's just fun.
Yeah, it's just
and
a fun
it's more
story.
fun than some other isekai that I've watched.
Yeah.
So thumbs up for it was fun enough where I was like, I'm just gonna watch the whole thing. And yeah, I mean, I'm not giving it the best overall score compared to other shows I've watched, but that doesn't mean you weren't fun to watch.
Yeah, that's true.
What type of negatives do you have?
Stuff that I've already kind of mentioned, like just not enough character development
Yeah,
for having an ensemble
first
cast.
season, yeah, it's tough. It's definitely tough.
Power scaling just didn't make sense, obviously, because they're all just all overpowered.
Yeah, there is no powers. It's
Then
just
you're just
they're
like,
OP.
Yeah, you're like, okay.
That was what made both the whole Shaltir being taken over by a world item. That was one negative, is they didn't do a lot of explaining of what the heck is a world item, what is the tier system of these items. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure that's part of what you're saying for the magic system, but at least you were like, oh, is there someone actually OP? But no, the most OP person in season 1 is just him fighting one of his own minions.
Yeah, you're like, okay, cool. There's not going to be a bigger villain.
Yeah, they're legit
Like,
all
it's
super
just-
OP. There was never really ever any concern. It's just mega crazy action.
That's the thing, is like, and for me, that's partially a negative for this, because this starts off and it feels like it's going to be like an adventure anime kind of thing, and I think for me, it's just like thinking it's going to be an adventure, and then it's like, oh, he's already the most powerful person.
Yeah, he's like a demon lord, demon lord,
Yeah, you're like,
the
okay,
overlord, even you could say.
haha.
I did also have overuse of CGI. I don't know if you had that.
I didn't, but it was very much so. I mean, I have it in somewhere in my notes here.
That's a nitpick. I know that some people don't care. Some people do care to the point where they'll turn off a show.
Yeah. I think for me, this is like a personal negative, not necessarily about the show, but like if we weren't watching it for Anime of the Month, I would have probably turned it off at the 3-episode rule. Like, I just wasn't fully engaged in the story within the first 3 episodes.
I think for me, I probably would finish it. But it wouldn't be like for Anime of the Month, I'm watching it. This is the show I'm
plain
watching.
and simple.
But I could see myself watching this as it's dubbed. You don't really need to pay as much attention. Maybe it's a background show, and I finish it that way.
Yeah.
But since it was Anime of the Month, I properly tuned in.
Analyzed it.
But I could see myself still finishing it.
That's fair. And you did. You watched all 4 seasons.
Watched all 4 seasons. It's not in my top 5 for Isekai, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Other than that, for negatives for me, I just have like the generic thing, but I could say that is a negative for some of my favorites.
Yeah, exactly.
There's still very generic or overused tropes within the genre that are used to this day.
Yeah. Because
right?
it sells though. Like it
Oh,
sells.
it's popular,
good.
yeah, for sure. The key is what differentiates you, and obviously in this one we have already a demon lord
Yep. He's
with
already OP right off the bat.
with already a established broken team basically.
Yep.
So it was different from that. And how many isekai have you seen so far?
Only like half a dozen or so. Like I'm still kind of new. Like that's kind of a genre I haven't really
let's
touched
say,
upon.
do you like SAO more or Overlord more? I'm curious, just because maybe they're not exactly 1-1, but they are close. They're both video game.
Probably SAO more because obviously the story was. I don't know. That's me. Like I know maybe I shouldn't base around story, but the story for Sword Online was deeper. You got proper character development within season 1 alone.
Okay,
I would say, but they were also more focused on like how do we get out of here.
I guess yeah. There's like a
Like-
bigger story of like the goal is to survive and potentially leave.
And he wasn't as
Where this one we're just stuck. There is no even there's no even hint of leaving.
exactly. I think that's a big thing for me. And then also just like I enjoy a story with like some type of stakes, like knowing that he's already the most
There's no
powerful.
stakes in SAO.
Well, the stake would be to get out.
I guess, but
And that's
the
like at
stake
least-
is that you die. But also, do you not remember the first Kirito fight where he just takes slashes?
That's true. That is true.
I think they handled the OP-ness a little bit better in this one than Sword Art Online.
Okay.
But if we were to take the overarching story, maybe SAO has some elements that are better. But I found that this band of individuals is more enjoyable.
Individual floor guardians.
Are more enjoyable than SAO
Yeah.
if we were to compare those two.
Any other negatives?
No, that's pretty much it.
All right, let's jump over now to Troy from Nerdy Misfit Gaming quick then. And we'll listen to what he thinks of Overlord Season 1.
Hello everyone, this is Troy from Nerdy Misfits Gaming. This is my little review of Overlord. My initial thoughts are, Overlord is a fun power fantasy where the main character is an overpowered villain in a video game. The game is set to be closed forever, but when time comes for everything to disappear, the kingdom stands. The NPCs that are around seem to kind of develop their own little personalities. I thought that was an interesting concept. That's what kind of piqued my interest at the start, and I'd say I've enjoyed it. I'm curious to see where the other seasons go and where the show takes us. I thought the art and animation were pretty good. The spells and combat I thought looked cool. The shows, or the colors and the designs, I thought were pretty good too. Animations I thought flowed nicely, even during combat. I thought they were good. Music and sound effects were fine. Nothing too special there for me. Probably the thing for my dislikes, I know it's a power fantasy, but I do like when I'm watching these power fantasies, I do like seeing at least a little bit of struggle. I don't think I'm not a huge fan of these super power fantasies where nothing seems to phase them. Like how in this first season, nothing really phases Ainzul Gon until pretty much near the end. When there's kind of a struggle, it just makes those bigger combat and fight scenes just have a little bit more emotion and more intent in them, and I just find that makes them more interesting to watch. My biggest comparison to the one that I think does it probably the best is Solo Leveling. Right now, Solo Leveling is probably my favorite anime, just as a little side note. But I like how even though he's getting more and more powerful, there's still lots of struggles that go on. And that's what I like seeing. And the things that I did like the extra MMO dialect that they did. It's what the world was based in, so I'd expect it to have, kind of some dialect and language from MMOs. And they kind of leaned into that bit, so I did like that. I did have a little chuckle when they were using their own buff spells on kind of themselves, and they'd just be standing there kind of doing like 10 spells all at once, just on themselves. But that is what does happen in MMOs and video games, so I thought it was pretty cool that they kind of put that into the show. Overall, again, I enjoyed it. It is a fun power fantasy, easy to watch. I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10, maybe 8.5. So, thanks.
Thanks, Troy. I hope you liked it or disliked it.
What do you think? Do you think you
I
liked
think
it?
I think
Yeah.
you liked
What do
it.
you think you would have rated it out of 10?
Out of 10?
Yeah.
7.
7?
I think he's giving it a 7. That's my prediction.
Your prediction. We'll see.
So it goes without saying, enjoyment. I would say enjoyment factor is decent.
Okay.
If I was rating just enjoyment, I would say 8 out of 10.
Okay.
8 out of 10 on enjoyment. Definitely easy to watch.
Yep.
Like super easy watch. Not complex at all. Very easy. Easy on the eyes for the most part until later seasons. But yeah, what about you?
Like, yeah, I think I wanted to like it more, but that's just my storytelling wise. Still gave it a 6.5 out of 10. Like, it was still enjoyable to watch. It's a good background isekai. You know, if that's what you're into, you want to watch a isekai, there you go. It's pretty generic, nothing crazy.
There's a lot of options though out there.
Definitely.
So.
Yeah, there's new isekai coming every season.
But yeah, let us know down in the comments below what you guys think of Overlord. Is Matt being a little too harsh? Should he watch more seasons? Is there other in the genre that we should?
Yeah,
Actually,
is there any
you know
good
what?
isekai?
In the comments, if you're a big isekai fan, put down your top 10.
Top 10. Wow.
Put a top 10 in order.
In order.
In
Oof.
order of what we should watch or Matt should watch.
I need to, 2026 that'll be the isekai year for me.
But
Drown
I would
myself.
love to see 10, top 10. One being a must-watch isekai all the way to your 10th must-watch isekai for both of us.
Dang.
And maybe we'll check out some more for Anime of the Month. And if you like anime and other things like manga, like comics, you should drop a subscription. It helps the channel out a lot. We're trying to hit 1,000 subs this year.
That's the plan.
And we post these, like we said, every single month, which gets us to what next month is.
Exactly.
February. Short
Boom.
month.
Short month. But the anime of the month for February is also an anime that came out the exact same season.
In 2015.
In 2015 of summer. The summer 2015 anime season. Popping off for us. This was Charlotte. Also 13 episodes. Done by PA Works. The genre is school and superpower. My anime list score of 7.76. So,
and it's an anime original.
Anime original. Just my anime list score is a little bit lower than Overlord. So I don't know what that's going to mean.
It's one of the more popular shows, I think, overall on my anime list, which is kind of one of the reasons we picked it.
Yeah. I haven't seen it at all. I don't know too much about it.
We're trying to make the anime of the month have a little bit current and a little bit of older.
Yeah.
So that's why we're jumping. First two, we're jumping back a decade.
Exactly.
And maybe next month will be a more current one.
Could be. I have no idea. We haven't looked at it. But anyways, here's a little synopsis for Charlotte. If not for his ability to take over people's mind and body, Yu Otosaka would be an ordinary high school student. Though it only lasts for 5 seconds at a time, Yu's mysterious power allowed him to cheat his way to the top of his class and enter a prestigious high school where he continues his dishonest acts.
Legend.
His shenanigans are eventually stopped by Neo Tamori, the headstrong student council president from Hoshinomi Academy,
Rat.
who sees through his deceit. Through coercion, Neo convinces Yu to transfer to Hoshinomi and join the student council. Hoshinomi Academy is secretly an institution created for adolescents who possess supernatural abilities.
Oh. The X-Men.
Exactly. With the student council serves as a means of locating those who abuse their powers. Definitely the X-Men. With you, wow.
You're just like taken out of it now.
Taken out of it, yeah. With you begrudgingly assisting in council affairs, the group sets out to find and protect new ability users from harm. Literally the X-Men. However, as they further investigate their abilities, their findings entangle them in a far more complicated matter than they could ever imagine.
Sounds interesting.
I'm intrigued for it.
I'm hoping it's a contained story within these 13 eps, because if not, being 11 years old and there not being a new season is concerning.
I'm going to look it up.
That would definitely be concerning if it's not a completed story.
13 episodes and an OVA.
Well, we'll find out. And so will you if you guys tune in and join us on watching Charlotte for the anime of the month of February. We do have a link tree down in the description below. It's also on, I think, our profile for Spotify.
Yep.
And all of our social media where you can join our Discord.
What?
And in our Discord section, we do have a spot for anime of the month if you want to join and give us your thoughts on the series or even potentially watch some episodes with us. And if that interests you, you should join. Other than that, please rate us on whatever podcast app you're listening to. Like, comment, subscribe on YouTube.
The whole shebang.
And tune in next week.
Yes, where we'll be talking about Percy Jackson Season 2.
Oh, there
I
you go.
believe.
That's exciting. So,
Well, we'll see you then.
goodbye.
Bye.
TNMP, the Nerdy Misfit Podcast. Don't forget to join the island by dropping a follow. Thank you, and see you next week.